Have you seen or thought about the headlines in the news lately, specifically headlines regarding records of extreme and unpredictable weather patterns or the various natural disasters that are occurring globally right before our very eyes in our lifetime? We are constantly witnessing direct effects of global warming. I can think of several examples right off the top of my head that just depict how catastrophic it is to various communities and our environment. Global warming is the biggest threat that we are being faced with today, and it needs to be addressed as soon as possible. I have researched global warming and climate change on numerous occasions. Last semester specifically, I enrolled in a class called Climate Change in the Oceans, or OCG 123G. Throughout the semester, I learned some eye-opening information regarding the rise in temperatures and correlations to the oceans and its habitat surrounding it. Today I'll be talking about global warming and its effect on us, our planet, and the life surrounding us. Progressively, I believe that the Earth is getting angrier as it warms, and it is sending warning sounds out as it does. If we do not put a stop to it now, I believe that we will have limited solutions in the future. Global warming has obviously negatively impacted our Earth in a series of ways. The planet has been reacting to an increase in global temperatures, and the consequences are starting to catch up with us. Scientists have estimated that the Earth has warmed roughly 1.5 degrees Celsius. Although that may not seem like a lot, it actually is, and it drastically changes the environment. As sunlight reaches Earth, some energy is reflected back into space and some is absorbed and re-radiated as heat. When there's an increase of CO2 and greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, that means that there is an influx of heat that is being reflected onto Earth. Plants, flowers, trees, and wildlife cycles are all beginning to and starting and blooming earlier than expected. The atmosphere is drier and there are more droughts occurring globally, which additionally increases the vulnerability of our environment. There are ice sheets that are melting due to these increase in temperatures. According to NASA and their GRACE missions, they have been working to show ice sheets in Antarctica and Greenland. Their records show that these areas have been losing mass since 2002. Their data roughly equates to 150 billion metric tons lost per year in Antarctica and roughly 270 billion metric tons lost per year in Greenland. When you think about these numbers, it really depicts how catastrophic global warming is and what it does to our environment. There's also an increase in wildfires, tropical storms, heat waves, and abnormal and unpredictable weather patterns that have been coming our way. According to the Center for Climate Change and Energy Solutions, global warming has been a key factor in increasing the risk and the extent of wildfires that are occurring in the western United States specifically. Warmer temperatures and drier conditions can and will increase the likeliness that a fire can start and spread, which therefore makes it harder to manage and put out. Statistically, the amount of wildfires that have occurred have doubled since 1984 to 2015. Alongside that, the strongest hurricanes, which are categories 4 and 5, have increased their frequency and intensity since the early 1980s, according to NASA. Climate changes and global warming are causing extinctions of various species and rapidly changing ecosystems in the environment surrounding us. Ecosystems are being damaged and disrupted due to the global rise in temperature. Animals are failing to adapt to these growing changes, which therefore increases the threats that they're being faced with and the threats of extinction. For example, coral reefs are bleaching and dying. I was able to watch a documentary called Chasing Coral in that class that I took last semester. And within the last 30 years, roughly 50% of the coral reefs in our world globally have died, and roughly 29% of the Great Barrier Reef has died. A scientist called Richard Vevers in the documentary went down to the Great Barrier Reef to study these corals, and all that was left was just skeletons. The marine life, as the temperature increases, marine life becomes extremely vulnerable and affected by the change in their environment. Our oceans absorb roughly 93% of what is trapped by the greenhouse gases, which directly correlates to the accelerated rise in sea levels in our oceans. Although this is all happening, there are ways that we can be proactive and work towards bettering the environment in our future. We need to work together to rapidly reduce the amount of carbon emissions in the atmosphere and protect the planet that we have. We need to be proactive and change our behavior to benefit the earth. One option is decrease our plastic use and practice more reduce, reuse, recycle habits. I believe that we are starting to do that more in our everyday life and in our society. We are kind of being forced to, especially in supermarkets. We are engaging in more eco-friendly options when we can, work towards reducing our carbon footprint, and consciously choose better options for the earth. Likewise, we have renewable energy options, which, like windmills, and wind power is the largest source of renewable energy. We will have an infinite amount of wind power that does not cost as much, and it does not require as many resources. Alongside that, we also have solar panels and solar energy, which is a viable option for renewable energies, which is something that you can do as a consumer. Instead of investing in oil, you could be investing in a more eco-friendly and financially sustainable option for your household. You are not only choosing something that is bettering the environment and earth, you are choosing something that is also bettering yourself. As we wrap our thoughts up, we should consciously think about the consequences of our actions and work towards bettering and altering our behaviors for the sake of our environment. We talked about how global warming is increasing in severe and extreme weather patterns, and natural disasters are occurring more often. The environment is rapidly changing, and ecosystems are struggling to keep up. Fortunately for us, there are ways that we can be proactive and try to slow the warming of the planet. Global warming is a pressing issue that we cannot continue to ignore. If we do not put a stop to it now, we will never be able to reverse the effects that it has on our planet.